up so it can see more of your screen.
Yep. So, okay. So, downloads. View slideshow.
It's not opening. Well, third time's the charm, maybe. Yep, here we go. Your Open Office. You build this on Open Office on your computer? Oh, okay.
I have to convert it to Microsoft.
Oh, because I thought you didn't have Microsoft anyway.
No, I got it.
Oh. You finally gave in.
Now, when I first started teaching class, I did it.
Oh man, what did I do? Oh. I don't know if I was trying to start a new document. But...
And just so we got plugging
What's looking at?
that this thing doesn't stick.
Oh.
I'm waiting for something.
You should ask him how we can get it on the computer so that our mic is.
Well, it requires having a board.
Oh.
Yeah. Which isn't a big deal because I find them all the time on eBay cheap.
Okay.
So that's not a
Not a big deal. Well, that's good. Okay. How's that volume wise? Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for hooking up the projector, Jason. Yeah, cool. Was it in a relatively painless process?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Good.
I changed out the mount because the mount we had was from that older one. And when I took down the one that broke, it was barely threaded in because then we had moved it and used it up. So I got the right mount for that one.
Okay, good. Good. Well, I'm glad that it all happened the way that it did. All outside his head first.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Okay, well, we'll kick it off with a prayer, and then we'll do a brief review from last week, and we'll get started on this week, which is going to be Matthew chapter 26. If you would, bow your heads. Our Father in heaven, we come before you in prayer, and thank you for this opportunity to gather together to learn more about your word, learn more about your Son. We pray, dear Lord, that you please join us this morning, open our hearts and minds, and loose our tongues that we might be able to have good and lively discussion about your Son's life and his last days. We pray that you be with those who are not with us this morning. Please keep them safe wherever they may be, that we might see them again soon. We pray these things in your Son's name. Okay, so last week we talked primarily about the three parables. That is Matthew chapter 25. These parables follow Matthew 24, which of course is Christ's very prophetic and ominous words about the destruction of Jerusalem. Sarah, did you ever find where you had the note? I feel like it would have to be in Matthew 24. Well, Matthew 24, of course, talks about the end. Christ covers and does like a compare contrast of the end when he comes back in judgment versus the destruction of Jerusalem. gives all these signs and things to look for regarding the destruction, but he's very clear that his end is to come suddenly and without warning. The idea being that you're on your best behavior all the time because you never know when Christ will come back. And Christ himself describes it as coming as a thief in the night, not something that you would prepare for. Well, Matthew chapter 25 covers 3 different parables in which he illustrates that point, right? The initial parable, the wise and foolish virgins, that of course is about 5, think of them as the bridesmaids that are prepared for a wedding, and then 5 that are not prepared. The 5 that are prepared carry extra lamp oil with them and wait for the bridegroom. And we can ascertain that this is about Christ because he is often referred to as the bridegroom. And so this is a parable about his arrival, and in the parable, the bridegroom arrives at midnight. The wise virgins or the wise bridesmaids have plenty of oil and they're ready to go, and they're ready to go to the wedding. The foolish ones do not have enough oil to light their lamps, and they have to leave to buy oil and then come back, and by the time they come back, there's no entry into the wedding. And Christ concludes that with, "Watch therefore, for you know not neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son may come." That's Matthew chapter 25, verse 13. Then he goes into the stewardship of the talents. Well, how are we supposed to behave in the meantime, right? So Christ says, be ready, because you're not going to know when it's going to happen. And then the natural question is, well, what do I do until that time? That's the parable of the stewardship of the talents. 3 different servants, they're each given a different amount of money. A talent of gold would have been worth quite a bit of money. We have one steward that gets 5 talents, one that gets 2, and one gets 1. And the 5 and 2 talent men double their money. So they use the talents that their Lord has given them to make more money. So by the time their Lord comes back, which is after an undetermined long time, that's Matthew chapter 25 and verse 19. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. So 5 and 2 talent men. Good morning. Good morning. So the 5 and 2 talent men, they double their money. Lord comes back. He's very happy with them because they have doubled their money. We're in Matthew chapter 25 for a brief review, and then we'll do Matthew 26. And the 1 talent man is afraid and buries his talent. And when the Lord comes, he's very displeased with him. The point being, use the skills and abilities that you have in service to God. That's what you do. And then he follows with, well, how do you successfully do that? What happens if you successfully do that? That's the talent, or that's the parable of the separation of the sheep and goats. And that rounds out Matthew chapter 25. And basically the idea is relatively simple. Be selfless in the way that you deal with others, which would make you a sheep. Not selfish, which would make you a goat. Upon Christ's return, there's a discernment, a judgment. Sheep on the right, goats on the left. Goats go into hell, sheep go into heaven, or everlasting life as it's described. So Jesus recaps or essentially breaks down behavior and what to look for in these 3 parables that are essentially about his coming, or his second coming, the day of judgment. So once he finishes those sayings, we pick it up in Matthew chapter 26. So we're in the last few days of Jesus' life, or at least before his crucifixion. Okay. So we will read through the first 16 verses of Matthew 26. And I'm reading out of the King James for those online. And it came to pass, when Jesus had finished all these things, he said unto his disciples, You know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. Then assembled together the chief priests and scribes and the elders of the people, and the palace of the high priest, unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas. Then assembled together the chief priests and scribes and the elders of the people, Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take Jesus by subtlety and kill him. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people. Now when Jesus was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and he poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work on me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she had poured out this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also be this, that this woman hath done, be told for a memorial for her. Then one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went unto the chief priests, and said unto them, what will you give me, and I will deliver him unto you? And they covenanted with him for 30 pieces of silver, and from that time he sought opportunity to betray him. This story, of course, the crucifixion account is in each of the 4 Gospels, and they're a little bit different in each account. So in Matthew, the woman is not named, but I think it's, one of the other Gospels name it. It's Mary who anoints Christ. Let's see, it might be John. Yeah, I think it is John. Yeah. John chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Then Jesus 6 days before the Passover came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead. There they made him a supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him. Then took Mary a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. Then said one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which should betray him, why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief, and hath a bag, and bare what was put therein. Then said Jesus, let her alone. Against the day of my burying hath she kept this. For the poor always ye have with you, but me ye have not always. Much people of the Jews therefore knew that he was there, and they came not for Jesus' sake only, but that they might see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. But the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death, poor Lazarus, because that by reason of him many of the Jews went away and believed on Jesus. And on the next day, much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem. So this scene is that as we're getting into Passover, or the week of Passover, Christ is at Martha's house with Lazarus, and people are there not only to see Christ, but also to see Lazarus, the guy that was rotten for a few days and brought back to life. And then, of course, the chief priests want to kill Lazarus because many Jews believed after seeing him raised. What's interesting about this account in John, as in most of the accounts in John, they're very personalized. John was with Jesus all the time. He's referred to as the disciple that Christ loved. And John makes the note about Mary, but also about spikenard. I didn't know what spikenard was. I was talking to Sarah about it, and I think you have used it before. But what I learned is that you can still get it today, of course, and back in the day, it would have been harvested in the Himalayas, which is why it's so expensive. There's Himalayan spikenard, and then there's American spikenard. So pretty good chance that the spikenard that Mary had was not only very expensive, but came from a mountain range very far away, which is why it was expensive. And so I've got a couple of pictures of Himalayan spikenard. There's I forget what they call these, like artwork, but there's a drawing of the spikenard plant, and then of course the blooms, and then the little the fruits, which remind me a lot of elderberries. But apparently it's, what's the description? Complex and deep aroma that is earthy, musky, woody, sweet, spicy, and damper in undertones. Kind of like patchouli, apparently. Can't say that I've ever smelled it. But whatever it was so fragrant, it filled the house. And Judas is taking the position that the money is being wasted. It could have been given to the poor. And John makes the note that Judas doesn't really care about the poor, but he had the collection bag and was in charge of keeping the money and was interested in receiving as much money as he could, presumably to steal from the bag, which is not a good look.
Now, what was interesting here is the one account in John says he's at Lazarus' house. Here it says he's with Simon the leper.
Oh, yeah, Simon. I guess it is Simon's house. Lazarus was there at the house.
Ah,
Yeah, where Lazarus, had been dead when he raised from the, where Lazarus was, which had been dead when he raised from the dead. And Martha is serving. I don't know if Martha, I don't really know much about Martha. But it sounds like there were a lot of people there, or at least a crowd of people there, because much people of the Jews therefore knew that he was there and came not for Jesus' sake only, but that they might see Lazarus also, which would absolutely be a sight to behold. If you knew some dead guy who had been raised was at a dinner party, like, you go. I mean, why wouldn't you go?
well, and the other difference is in John, it says that she poured it on his feet. Here, it says that she poured it on his head.
She probably, the description of anointment is probably both. I would imagine it is both. Jesus says it's for his burial. I think that there's some double meanings in there. I mean, priests were anointed. Of course, Christ is going through this very symbolic journey of becoming essentially our high priest, right? And so he's come into Jerusalem, so he's come into the holy place. He's about to go into the garden, and then after the garden, he's going to be raised up on a tree. So we have this imagery of him doing essentially an unfolding of what happened at the beginning of time in the Garden of Eden. Right? Because there's going to be betrayal in the garden, just like there was way back when the prophecy was originally given. This is one of the really cool things about Christ's life and his reflection of the Old Testament, is that God is going to incredible lengths to take all of the ugliness of man's sin and flip it on its head. And Christ is the embodiment of that. And so the fact that he's being anointed before he goes into the garden, before he's then raised up on a tree, I think there's certainly some double meanings that you could read into. At least the imagery is there.
Well, not only that, the women never have a chance to anoint his body when he's buried. They are trying to come afterwards to anoint his body. That's when he's raised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why seek ye Jesus? Like, he's not here. So yeah, the anointing is certainly. I'm sure they used every drop of that oil, and you would have. Okay, so now we're getting into Passover. This is Matthew chapter 26, verses 17 and following. Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? And he said, Go into the city to such a man, and say unto him, The Master saith, my time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples. And the disciples did as Jesus had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. Now when the even was come, he sat down with the 12. And as they did eat, he said, Verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Lord, is it I? And he answered and said, He that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. The Son of Man goeth, as it is written of him. But woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born. Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, Thou hast said. And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it, and gave it to the disciples, and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks, and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But I say to you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine, until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. And when they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Okay, we're going to pause there for a second. So, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, or the Passover meal, I guess I should say, goes way back to Exodus chapter 12. Okay, so I'll read through essentially the meal that Christ and his apostles are keeping. This is Exodus chapter 12, verses 14 through 20. And this day, this is God talking, and this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the seventh, that soul shall be cut off in Israel. And in the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and in the seventh day there shall be a holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save with that which every man must eat. That only may be done of you. Then ye shall observe the feast of the unleavened bread, for in the selfsame day I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread, until the 21st day of the month at even. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or foreign in the land. You shall eat nothing leavened, in all your habitations shall you eat unleavened bread. God is going to great lengths to emphasize, don't leaven your food. It must be unleavened. And there's, of course, the symbolism of 7. We're seeing the 14th day of the month, the 21st day of the month. It's 7 days between both of the whole of 7, 14, 4, 7, 21. So, as we have talked extensively, we see these patterns, God saying, pay attention. Pay attention. I'm sorry? The 1 and 20th day. Yep. So, 14th to the 20th. So, the leavening. There could be a lot of symbolism that could be unpacked about leavening and the adulteration, the transformation of the bread. I think, in my Bible commentary, has a very interesting note that it's essentially talking about not leavening because you don't have time for bread to rise, right? This is the Passover meal. If you think way back when, the Jews are in bondage, Pharaoh's losing his marbles, and they had been told the angel of death is going to sweep over the land. Do these things, do it quick, because we don't have time for bread to rise. Even in Exodus chapter 12, verse 11, and thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. This is the Lord's Passover. We don't have time, guys. Like, this is going to be quick. Be ready.
So when you eat the Passover when you eat the Passover meal, you're supposed to eat it quickly.
Eat it quick. Eat it quick. Put your shoes on, staff in your hand, ready to go. That's like the original fast food meal. It's like roast the lamb, let's go. And so there wasn't time for leavening. If somebody would have tarried to leaven the bread, God says they're cut off. We don't have time for that. Be ready. The adventure is kind of the takeaway from that. And it's a memorial that is supposed to be passed down ad not like through generations. And of course, we have Jesus observing the Passover with unleavened bread. And he is doing what is classically Jesus. He's taking something and he's revealing the true nature of it, or turning it in on itself. And here he's saying this tradition is now the covenant, or is now the tradition of the New Testament, the New Covenant, the covenant that I give to you. This is my body. This is my blood. We do that pretty much every time we gather, right? Paul gives us some additional, how do we do this in a worthy manner, type of instructions in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, where he addresses the intent. You know, not every meal is a Passover meal. Not every meal is a communion meal. You have those meals, and then you have this one. And this one is supposed to be taken with proper intention, right? Center your mind, do so in a manner that is befitting a memorial, right? And that's 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Okay, any questions over what Christ is doing with the Passover meal and how he is using it to essentially, what would be the word? Embody the new covenant, taking this very old system, this very old tradition that's a cornerstone of Jewish life, right? It's their exodus. It's their memorial of their exodus when God saved them, took them on a grand adventure through the desert, but was with them the whole time, right? Eat it in haste. Here we have the New Testament covenant, unleavened bread, fruit of the vine again. Really, in my mind, taking this and partaking of it is saying that you're ready for the great adventure that is Christianity.
Now, with this, it had set for 7 days. Now, the feast is only on one day, the last day, right?
The lamb, the roasting of the lamb, I believe is the day of Passover.
Okay, but the 6
I've
days
never kept it,
before, you are to eat, but with unleavened bread.
Unleavened bread, yeah. 7 days, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, yeah, 7 days.
So, but it's only the last meal that's supposed to be in haste.
Well, I don't know that the Exodus specifies.
I also thought it was different, like different nights or different things, or maybe the plate, maybe the empty plate. The Passover dinner plate that has the lamb and the salt water and the herbs and the bread. But that's not over here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
the
you're
10th
supposed to keep the
10th
lamb.
day,
Yeah.
and the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, and then for a house, and then he goes into roasting the lamb.
Where
And
you
you
at?
shall. This is Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12, the first
Lamb has to stay with them for the first 7 days.
11 verses. And without blemish, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. Yeah, take the blood and strike it on the 2 clothes, eat it with their herbs. They shall eat the flesh in that night, roasted with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs shall they eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden of all with water, so don't boil it, but roasted with fire.
With its head, leg, and entrails.
Don't have time, gotta be quick. Roast it.
Ooh, that's gonna be some kind of.
Thus shall you eat
Dang,
it.
does that mean you don't even get to skin it? You just roast it?
Just get it roasted. Entrails.
I'd like it just be slaughter and throw it on fire.
Seriously?
Let's show it. Nothing
That's gonna be
remains.
some kind of tang in that sucker.
Well, I mean,
Trails.
the kind of adventure that you have to be ready for, it can be a little bitter, right?
Yes. Dang.
Roast it with bitter herbs, eat it
The
quick.
entrails.
I mean, the fact, I love the line about your shoes have to be on, staff in your hand. Like, go.
Right. It's like you're eating standing up, ready to walk
Pretty
out
much, yeah. Table, who needs a table? Just grab the leg and go. I myself have never kept Passover. I've never been to a Passover Seder, so I have not embodied these movements.
They ain't
We-
joking when they say bitter herbs.
Yeah.
We were under a Messianic Jew before.
I'm sorry, say it
A
again.
Messianic Jew.
Oh, yeah.
We've had
Yeah,
Seder.
and so we've
We've had
been
the
to the
lamb in the house
Seders before.
before.
I had to kill the lamb. But we didn't cook it with the entrails.
With the entrails, yeah.
What was your bitter herb?
Yeah,
I
which
don't
herbs?
remember.
I don't remember what it was, but
It was bitter.
Yeah.
I've asked a lot of people who've done Passover what they're like. The different people use different herbs, and it's
Yeah.
kind of, some people are like, "That's whatever we have in the house."
No,
Horseradish.
they did it
Wow.
classic Jewish fare, whatever it was, because they were both Jewish by descent. The Firestones, they were both Jewish by descent. Yeah, our friends, they actually had the lamb in the house for a week.
Wow.
They had kids, so more power to them. So I was like,
Then
we helped them dispatch it. But
he's
I was
like-
like, did not stay in my house.
You come over and help. Yeah, come help.
As for me and my house, I'm very thankful I don't have to sacrifice animals anymore.
Right?
That's one little bonus of being a
Their
Christian.
kids cried
is
more than
they
our
worry
kids
about
cried.
that. Okay, so here we're, again, Jesus is taking a core tenet of Judaism. He is fully integrating it. He's fully fulfilling the law. He himself is about to go on a great adventure. And this is something that we participate in. And that as often as we do it, we do so with the right intention. That's really the only stipulation. Now, at the same meal, of course, he talks about his betrayal. Judas discerns, according to the account in Matthew, Judas discerns that it's him that is going to be the betrayer. Peter being Peter, when Christ said he's going to be betrayed, Peter's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Not on my watch. So we see really interesting juxtaposition, right, with Judas and Peter. Because Judas is understanding it's going to be him that's going to be betraying him, right? And it's almost accepting that. And Peter's like, I don't accept any of that. Like, that is not going to happen. So, verses 31 through 35.
What's interesting is, but Judas already went and talked to him before this. It's like
Yeah.
he already has the silver in his pocket.
Yeah. He knows what's going on. Yeah, I think it's the account in John where it uses the phrase, and Satan entered into this, which is a very interesting turn of phrase and something that we should be very mindful of, because we can succumb. If an apostle can succumb to that, that means that that can happen to us, and we'd be wise to pay attention to what is going on internally and externally in our lives. But in Matthew chapter 26, 31 through 35, this is Peter saying, "No, Jesus, you're wrong." Then Jesus said unto them, All ye shall be offended because of me this night, for it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee. Peter answered and said unto him, Though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet will I never be offended. There's that word, never. Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto you, that this night, before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. Peter said unto him, Though I should die with thee, yet will I not deny thee. Likewise also said all of the disciples. They all jump on the bandwagon. They're like, we totally got you, man. They don't. That doesn't work out.
I mean, technically, Peter was willing to die because he went in and attacked.
Yeah,
It was
yes.
he was ready
Yeah,
until Jesus said, whoa, 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 put away that sword.
knock it off.
Then he's like, oh, dang it, I better run.
Yeah. Yeah, his pronouncement comes whenever, after Jesus' conviction in the court, that's when this, I think it's a woman that recognizes Peter. And they're like, hey, didn't you hang out with him? He's like, no, that's not me. No way, not me. Yeah, you cut off the servant's ear. Nope, can't say that I did.
You have me mixed up with someone else.
Yeah. Nope. We're going to read the Garden of Gethsemane. That's Matthew 26, verses 36 through 46. This account is, I like the account in John a little bit more, which we'll read. But we'll read Matthew first. Then cometh Jesus with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Does anybody remember the name of the sons of Zebedee? James and John. Then saith he unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me. And he went a little further, and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. And he cometh unto his disciples, and findeth them asleep, and saith unto Peter, what, could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Okay, 1 sec.
Sure.
How many are there? How many disciples?
3, Peter, James, and John.
He comes back and says to Peter.
Yeah. Hey, man,
How come not to the disciples? He says it to Peter.
where's all that gusto at? Could you not watch for an hour? Yeah.
I think that's interesting.
Well, it's a very important note that in all things maintain a sense of humor. Verse 41, watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. He went away again the second time and prayed, saying, O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them and went away, and prayed the third time, saying the same words. Then cometh he to his disciples, and saith unto them, sleep on now, and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that doth betray me. Okay, big takeaway about this account in Matthew. Remember that the way that Matthew is writing his account is very much from a Jewish standpoint, right? A lot of what he covers is details that would have been important to a Jew. We're seeing here 3 rounds of prayer. That number 3, that's another one of those, pay attention, okay? Well, why is this significant? Why give us the account of Gethsemane? Why would we need to know any of this, right? Well, at face value, it gives us a very cool insight into the human nature of Christ, right? Because he's praying, I don't really want to do this. And who would? I mean, I myself in Bible study in the week, we've talked about the Passion a few different times. I have never seen that movie, right? I don't really want to. I've read about crucifixions for a long, long time, not interested in watching somebody get nailed to a tree. I cannot imagine being the Son of God, knowing exactly how it's about to go down, and here you are on the cusp of it. Like, the human side of you wouldn't want to have done that.
The movie, I mean, as good as the movie was,
Mm-hmm.
it still didn't do it full justice.
I don't think anything could,
No.
right? I mean, but the idea of, like, it's true barbarism, right? And it's not, this is a death that is designed to be painful.
Well, I mean,
And slow.
the Bible even says that when they brought him back to Pilate, he was unrecognizable. He didn't even look like a man. You know, I mean, that is how bad. It says they ripped out his beard and, I mean, all kinds of stuff. I mean,
Yeah, they beat him.
It was bad.
Yeah, they beat him all right. And so I think that at face value, of course, we have this account that gives us a very insightful look into the human nature of Christ. And the fact that here it's humans that, I mean, kind of abandon him in a way, right? He's like, hey, hang out while I go pray. And I think it's Luke that tells us that he was only a stone cast away. So he was like right there, and they're falling asleep. leaving him alone, essentially in the garden. Now, I think it's Luke that also tells us that an angel does minister unto him, which is a very important takeaway for us, because who's to say that we don't get ministered unto when we're in those really deep, intentional prayers, right? Look with me at Luke. Let's see, where is it? Luke 22. This is Luke chapter 22, verses 39 and following. And he came out and went, and as he was wont, to the Mount of Olives, his disciples also followed him. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, Pray that ye enter not into temptation. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as it were great drops of blood falling to the ground. And when he rose up from prayer and was come to his disciples, he found them sleeping for sorrow. And he said unto them, Why sleep ye? Rise and pray, lest ye enter into temptation. So Luke's account is one, and this is not an eyewitness. John's account is essentially an eyewitness account. The implication is that he himself was also falling asleep. But Luke's is not. And Luke adds these details that Christ was praying so intensely that sweat was running off of him as if he were asleep, which is an astounding way to pray. And that an angel does minister unto him and strengthens him, which is very encouraging. And I think this is Luke chapter 22, verses 39. Yeah, and verse 43, and there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. That even at this cusp, God is still strengthening him as he can, right? And preparing him. So that relatability between Christ and God is the same relatability that we have with God, right? And that's exactly what Christ tells us. So yeah, I think a layer down, a takeaway is that no matter what is happening, no matter how intense it is, even if it's something you know you have to do, and you're summoning up the courage to do it, God is still there to support you through it, which I think is very important. And I think is a model for how we can pray and how we can reach out to God as Christians. So there's another layer to that one. The account in John is John chapter, John chapter 18. Okay, so Jesus is praying very intensely. This is John chapter 18, verses 1 and following. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went forth where was a garden, unto which he entered, and his disciples also, which betrayed him, knew the place, for Jesus oftentimes resorted to the so this is a common meeting place for them, the Garden of Gethsemane. Judas then, having received a band of men and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, cometh thither with lanterns and torches and weapons. Jesus, therefore, knowing all things, that forth and said unto them, Whom seek ye? So when I read this account in John, I'm like, okay, so John wakes up at this point and is seeing what's about to happen. Verse 5, they answered him, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus saith unto him, I am he. What's interesting about this one, at least I don't know how everybody's Bible translation does it, but the original Greek isn't I am he, it's I am. I exist.
It is the same as what God used in Exodus, talking to Moses.
That's right. It's the same. It's the same. And Judas also, which betrayed him, stood with them. And as soon as he said, I am, they went backward and fell on the ground. What an interesting scene. This is
Like the power
John
of God.
chapter 18, verses 1 and following. Verse 6 is the one which says, as soon as he had said unto them, I am, they went backward and fell on the ground. So here come the accusers, and he asks, who are you looking for? Well, we're looking for Jesus of Nazareth. I am, and they fall down, which is amazing, right? Which is why the account in John is so cool. That is an eyewitness account of what happened. That when Jesus spoke to them, they fell to the ground.
A whole detachment of troops.
Right, right. Betrayer and everything. And what's so interesting is Judas still went through with the betrayal and the kiss.
Right.
Even after that happened,
Yeah.
he still goes through with it. And all these people with them go through with it, despite the fact that you could have put bells on Christ, and I still don't think it would have had the impact that had, which is such a neat testimony. Now, in Matthew writes it
Which is
differently.
probably how Peter was able to grab the guy's sword and cut his ear off, because he was probably sitting there in a little bit of shock going, what the heck just happened? Yeah, I bet
Did
they were
anybody
all,
else feel that?
Yeah, anybody else feel
well,
that?
they were probably getting themselves going, what the heck? And they were just like, and they're like, okay. And they're like,
Do we really want to go through with this?
I don't know, guys.
well, but they were more afraid of Rome than,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
you
they
know.
were.
Greece.
Yeah.
They were, yeah, it's so cool. So the imagery of the garden, which we're getting into the betrayal. Where did the original betrayal happen?
A while ago.
The garden. Yeah. It happened a long time ago, and it happened in the garden. So we're seeing Christ is coming, he's stepping through these hierarchies. Yeah, I know. He's stepping through these hierarchies of symbolism here. That he's coming to the holy place. He's been anointed. He goes into the garden. He's betrayed in the garden. These are reflections of the foundation of mankind. they're reflections of what is so key to the Jewish story, right? Now we're all back at Adam and Eve, okay? And Christ is going to take it one step further. He's going to go the distance and essentially become the tree of life when he is crucified. Through him we have eternal life, right? A complete and total inversion and completion of the fall that happened back in the garden. I mean, it's really remarkable imagery that God has laid out here for us. And so it is, of course, by no coincidence that when Christ says, I am, and knocks them back, that not only is he declaring again who he is, but his power to stop the process at any point. Just like the betrayers, Christ is going through it because he chooses to go through it. And it doesn't, I can see why the movie doesn't fully capture the depth and the intensity of what's going on here. Matthew records it a little bit differently. So in Matthew chapter 26, verses 47 and following, and while he yet spake, so this is Christ, he's talking to Peter, James, and John, like the time has come. While he yet spake, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude, with swords and staves, from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, whomsoever I shall kiss, that hold him fast. And forthwith he came to Jesus and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him. And Jesus said unto him, Friend, wherefore art thou come? Then came they and laid hands on Jesus and took him. And behold, one of them which were with Jesus stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. That would be Peter that does that. We know that because of some other accounts, or because of the other accounts, I guess I should say, in Mark, Luke, and John. In John, again, John being an eyewitness to this. This is John chapter 18. I'm going to read at verse 7 and following. John 18, verse 7. Then asked he them again, Whom seek ye? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus answered, I have told you that I am. If therefore ye seek me, let these go their way. That the saying might be fulfilled which he spake, Of them which thou gavest, I lost none. Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it, and smote the high priest's servant, and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Again, cool eyewitness account. John's given us all the details. It was not only a servant of the high priest, the guy's name was Malchus, and it was his right ear. Then Jesus said unto Peter, Put up thy sword into thy sheath. The cup which my Father hath given me, shall I not drink it? Luke gives us a few more details. I know I'm bouncing around a lot. That's Luke chapter 22. Verse 50 through 53. This is Luke 22, 50 through 53. And one of them smote the servant of the high priest and cut off his right ear. And Jesus answered and said, Suffer ye thus far. And he touched his ear and healed him. So even in the midst of all this, Christ is still being Christ. Sorry? Were you gonna?
I'm just trying to catch up.
Yeah, I know.
22, what did you just read?
This is Luke chapter 22, verse 50 and 51. You know, when I was preparing this lesson, I mean, my Bible got quite a workout. It's like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's hard now for me to even remember which story, which account has which detail.
Right?
They all just run together. The rest of the account in Luke is Luke 22, 52 and 53. Then Jesus said unto the chief priests and captains of the temple and the elders which were come to him, Be ye come out as against a thief with swords and staves? When I was daily with you in the temple, you stretched forth no hands against me, but this is your hour and the power of darkness. So you can really see the fear would have been palpable for them, which is why they came out with swords and staves. And that's Christ's point. Like, are you so afraid of me that you came out with all this weaponry? Like, I'm going to hurt you? Okay, and we're going to get into the... Oh, Gethsemane, by the way, should have started with that, is Hebrew for oil press. That's what that means. And today, it is still... I didn't include a picture. Bummer, that's what I forgot. You can go to the Garden of Gethsemane today, and there are olive trees there, as there were olive trees back then, presumably, because it's so named, oil press. Olives, of course, being very important in ancient life. They're important today. Olives are delicious. And very good for you. And of course, symbols of peace, right? So here he is in the Garden of Peace, pressing out his cares and concerns, where he is betrayed. And of significant note is Peter, James, and John are the three apostles that are with him for the transfiguration. So they get to witness Christ in action actually transform and metamorphosize, which is the Greek description of what's happening, is a metamorphosis of type. And that detail alone, the fact that those three were with him for that and for this, is another nod to the pay attention, because Christ is metamorphosizing the OG betrayal in the garden, right? Man's betrayal of God then, man's betrayal of God now, and he's about to transform it into something that is truly beautiful and redemptive, which, if you were to nutshell the power of God, I would say something to the effect of God is able, and the power of God is able to take that which is most heinous and turn it into something that's truly glorious, right? Only a reckless amount of love can do that, which is what we have in him. So, another nod, as we go into the layers of the Garden of Gethsemane, it's the imagery of the Garden of Eden, it's the imagery of metamorphosis, it's the imagery of God going all of the lengths to showcase his love for us. And the fact that Jesus summons up an incredible amount of courage to go through with it, to go through with his adventure. Any comments on the impact that has on y'all? I guess I had forgotten about the account in John of the I am knocking them down, which is really cool. It's just, I don't know, when I think about it, it's just like, yeah, it would. If God looked you at the eyes and said, I am, you would want to get down.
Well, I mean, so many times people say Jesus is not God, and they come up with all these scriptures, but I'm sorry, you go back to John where he says, I am, and they all fall down. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, it's interesting. Also in John, earlier in John, Christ is talking about his testimony.
With
And- And I think it was
14,
I don't remember which chapter,
I think it was 14.
but his point is that by 2, a testimony is true. And he's like, I and my Father are one. It's one of the reasons they accuse him of blasphemy. And he's like, God testifies of me that my testimony is true. Like, it isn't just me saying it, but it's God saying it.
I was thinking of a different place where he was arguing with the Pharisees, and
classic.
he was calling them Satan's spawn and all of this stuff. And they're sitting there arguing about this back and forth until he says, before Abraham was, I am. Another time he uses that same thing. They pick up stones at that moment to stone him for blasphemy, for calling himself God.
Yep.
When is that?
I don't
believe
remember
that's
what
John
it-
14.
Oh.
Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, I'll see if I know the exact one because I was just reading it the other day.
No, it's not John 14.
It's John chapter 10.
John chapter 10. Okay.
This is John chapter 10. We'll read it real quick. John chapter 10, verses 25 through 31. Jesus answered them, I told you, and you believe not. The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me. But you believe not, because you are not of my sheep, as I said unto you. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father, which gave them me, is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one. Then the Jews took up stones again to stone him. I love this response, though. Jesus answered them, many good works have I shown you from my Father. For which one of those do you stone me? Again, with that sense of humor.
Where are you at?
John chapter 10. John chapter 10, verses 25. I read through 32. Yeah, very stubborn folks. But that's, I think that's a lesson in ego that we could all take notes about. Is that ego can truly blind in destructive ways, which is also why he calls the hypocrites blind, or the Pharisees hypocrites and blind. Okay, so Jesus has been betrayed. He's been betrayed by a kiss. Sarah and I were watching a rather interesting commentary called The Gospels earlier this week, and the idea of betrayal being a part of this story is, I think, a very important note. And this was what some of the commentators had noted, is that betrayal is an integral part of the human experience. All of us have experienced some form of betrayal at some point. There's nothing that cuts quite like it. And here we're seeing that. So when Jesus says not one jot, not one tittle, he's also doing the same with the human experience. We see a lot of that in the garden, right? Anguish, betrayal, It's rough for him right now. Okay, so arrested him. He's about to go before the high priest. Matthew chapter 26, verse 57 and following. And they that had laid hold on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Peter followed him afar off unto the high priest's palace, and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. Now the chief priests and elders and all the council, that would be the Sanhedrin council, the ruling body of the Jews at this time, sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At last came 2 false witnesses. We're going to go into Exodus, but that is a direct violation of one of the 10 commandments. Verse 61. And said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witness against thee? But Jesus held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God. And Jesus said unto him, thou hast said. Nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, he hath spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now you have heard his blasphemy. What think ye? They answered and said, he is guilty of death. Then they did spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands, saying, prophesy unto us, thou Christ. Who is he that smote thee? I would not want to be one of those men. But how many times have I been that man? Right? Who are you, Jesus? Don't you know who hit you? I mean, that's pretty. Here come the scourgings and mockings and so on. Let's see, which account was it that I was going to read through? Okay. So,
Oh,
go ahead.
on a note, Sarah,
Mhm.
the account I was talking about is in John chapter 8.
Oh, before Abraham, I am.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. You mentioned that before Abraham, I am. John chapter 8. Thank you, Rick.
And that's the same I am from Exodus.
Usually the Greek means something it's imi, E-I-M-I, which means to exist, to be, which is the connotation in Exodus is when God says I am, it's like I exist, I am, I be type of thing. There's no past tense, future tense, it is present tense existence.
Almost all of 8 is his whole little argument, but down on verse 58 is where he says it.
John chapter 8, verse 58.
Yeah.
Okay, so the high priests, there's the Sanhedrin. The scene is there's a Sanhedrin council. So you have all of these rulers around. Jesus is being tried in kangaroo court style.
Right.
And Caiaphas is the one leading the charges, leading the prosecution, if you will. And rents his clothes at the idea at what Christ says. So he's being very dramatic, as a prosecuting attorney would be, and then declares to the jury, of course, you heard the blasphemy. Obviously, he's blasphemous. What is he guilty of? And they're like, death. So under Old Testament law, that death would have been carried out via stoning, which is why we see so often when Christ is accused of blasphemy, they pick up stones.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why people just have stones at the ready all the time, but
It's a stony place.
I guess it's a stony place.
If we
I
live in one
guess
of those
so.
places.
They would just take
Right.
them outside the walls usually because there's stones everywhere.
Yeah, there would have been
Always hear
stones
taking
everywhere.
out Outside the
Yeah.
walls. And,
Yeah, take it outside. It's not going to be pretty, and I don't think stoning would be pretty.
No.
But the penalty for blasphemy was stoning. That is Exodus 20. No,
I think I know why they didn't stone him though, because they tried to stone him multiple
They-
times. He just walked away.
yeah, he either walked away or he like vanished into the
Disappeared.
crowd.
Vanished.
They
Yeah.
tried it before,
That's
so
what it
that
is in Luke 8. That's what the last verse is like. They tried to pick up stones, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple. He
Right.
Yep.
snuck out.
He's quick. Yeah,
they probably say, we've tried this before. Let's not bother to try to stone him.
yeah.
We know how this works.
It doesn't work out well. Yeah, we're going to get into that because there's a couple of really interesting details about the fact that he is hung on a tree and what that means under Jewish law. Okay, so first of all, the witnesses, the two false witnesses, I'll just read the commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Okay, so this trial is not off to a very justified start. Which is why I say kangaroo court, of course.
Right, because it says that even the witnesses couldn't get their story straight.
They couldn't get their story straight. That's right. And they either didn't want to tell their story or their stories didn't match up.
Yep.
And the punishment for blasphemy being stoning comes from Leviticus chapter 24. And I will read that couple of verses. This is a bit Leviticus chapter 24. Verse 16, and he that blasphemeth the name of the Lord, he shall surely be put to death, and all the congregation shall certainly stone him, as well as a stranger. As he that is born in the land, when he blasphemeth the name of the Lord, shall be put to death. So whether you're a native, a Jew, or you are a Gentile, if you blaspheme the name of God, stoning for you. So, they've now convicted Christ of his alleged crime, and they whisk him off. Well, before they whisk him off is when Peter is recognized. Matthew chapter 26. Matthew chapter 26, verse 69. Okay, so Christ is convicted. Peter is there because he wanted to witness all of this transpire. So now that he's been convicted and guilty unto death, verse 69 picks it up with, now Peter sat without in the palace, and a damsel came unto him, saying, thou wast also with Jesus in Galilee. But he denied them all, saying, I know not what thou sayest. And when he was gone out into the porch, another maid saw him, and said unto him that were there, this fellow was also with Jesus in Nazareth. And again he denied him with an oath, I do not know the man. And it's escalating. Verse 73, and after a while came unto him they that stood by, and said to Peter, surely thou also art one of them, and thy speech betrayeth thee. Then began he to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the cock crew. And Peter remembered the word of Jesus, which said unto him, before the cock crow, thou shalt be thrice. And he went out and wept bitterly. So Peter's account of betrayal is also Mark chapter 14, Luke chapter 22, and then again in John chapter 18. Each essentially the same account that Peter denies Christ 3 times, and then his conscience convicts him, I guess would be a way to say that. So after Peter's denial, Jesus is on his way to the governor, who would have had the authority to do something about an execution. That governor is Pontius Pilate. Matthew chapter 7.
We're almost 10:30.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, we can stop right there then. No problem. I didn't realize so late.
Right.
Okay,
Just getting into it.
just getting into it. Starts to flow after a while. So next week we'll pick it up with the trial before Pilate, which is actually a really good place to pick it up. Pilate gets a lot of bad rap, but Pilate really didn't want anything to do with the crucifixion. of
No, he
Christ.
didn't. In fact, it even says that Jesus revealed himself later to him when he rose.
It's interesting. Pilate washes his hands. Basically, I wash my hands of this madness. I don't want anything to do with this. But so we'll pick it up with that next week. And then the last 2 Sundays, I will not be here. We will not be here. We will be in Missouri. So we'll try to get into the crucifixion and resurrection next week. We'll just see how quickly we can move through it all.
So, do you know how much longer Pilate was there after the resurrection of Jesus?
You mean as governor?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Because I thought it was interesting. I just wonder if Pilate